It is 6:03 on Tuesday, January the 11th. This is Robert Stevenson. We're going to open the Southwick County Granville Regional School Committee regular meeting this evening. Can I get a motion to open the meeting?
So, second.
Can I get a show of hands to open the meeting? And you let the record show that motion passes 7-0-0. Get everybody stand and say the pledge of allegiance, please.
United States of
America,
which stands one nation,
one nation,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Secretary's report. In your packet is the minutes from our meeting from the 21st of December. Make a motion to entertain the minutes.
Second.
Anybody have any questions on the minutes? No. Everything looks good. Can I get a show of hand to accept the minutes from the 21st? Amy, let the record show that motion passes 7-0-0. Okay. Amy, do we have any warrants tonight? I don't see a box.
No, I didn't get a lot.
We do not.
Okay.
Warrants. Superintendent Willard, correspondence.
I do. I have a press release issued on January 10th, 2022 by the Commissioner of Education that extends the mask mandate until February 28th, 2022. And he will let us know probably right around that time if he will be extending it any further. I think a big factor is the spread of Omicron. And as you know, we report weekly to the department about the amount of COVID cases that we have in our schools. And as you're seeing across the state, you're seeing in our schools as well. We've had a huge surge since Christmas. And so that was his reasoning to keep the mask mandate in place.
At least it's not February 28th, 2023. Right? All right. Anything else under correspondence tonight?
No.
No. All right. That takes us to our first public comment. Welcome, everybody. Anybody here that would like to make a public comment, if you just raise your hand, I'll acknowledge you. You come to the podium. You have a 3-minute time frame to be able to say your piece. Make sure that it's objective. It cannot be concerning any sort of personnel issues at the school. But if anybody has a public comment, now's the time that we're open. We'll have another opportunity later on. Okay, with nobody, we will move forward. Student advisory report. Annette, what do we get tonight?
All right, so we're all glad to be back. Happy New Year, everyone. Hope everyone had a good and safe holidays. At SRS, we started the new year with both the cell phone policy and the mask policy, and they've been more reinforced at the high school. Students just were reminded that this is what's in the handbook, and we need to be following these guidelines that are in place.
And mock trial has their first defense trial next week via Zoom. The New Horizons Club met today after school, and students made Valentine's Day cards for children and siblings of children with spinal muscular atrophy.
The American Sign Language Club at SRS had its first meeting last week, so that club is official at SRS. It's very exciting. Winter sports are mid-season and thriving. Indoor track had a successful meet the past weekend. They traveled pretty far. Both varsity basketball teams secured wins last night, and spring sports registrations are now open. There's an MIAA student ambassador huddle later this month. The athletic director has been in charge of that, and 4 student athletes of our athletic department have been chosen to represent our school.
The SRS varsity hockey team is facing South Hadley at the Mass Mutual Center at 4:15 on Friday, January 14th, prior to the Springfield Thunderbirds game. Tickets are $16 and are good for both the SRS game and Thunderbirds game.
So it's pretty cool that
That's awesome.
We did it last year too, and it's like a combo deal.
Yeah.
But it should be a good game.
How do people purchase those tickets?
I believe they're online.
Anywhere online.
There's actually a link.
He knows more about hockey than me.
We were provided with the link and I can share it with Amy and then we can put it up on the website.
Yes.
Student council has started a new project. We're going to talk about it this week at our meeting. We kind of named it Cocoa for a Cause. It's still being planned, but a donation set up with hot chocolate is what we're thinking. The idea is that the funds would go to a local nonprofit in the community. We've been researching some different organizations, maybe like the local food shelter or the animal shelter, something along those lines.
And Seniors Helping Seniors through NHS had the first winter cleanup for the snow day last week. So that was fun. And students were able to assist citizens of the town by cleaning off their cars, shoveling walkways and driveways.
And we actually received a $100 donation, I believe, to the program, I believe the program. And that was very big. The seniors just love when the students come and help. It's always a good experience. They're very thankful. I know in the fall, I was made hot chocolate by my senior. They're just always very grateful of what we do for them, especially on our days off. And then a big thank you and shout out to Ms. Gepper in the guidance department. She's been posting a lot of the seniors acceptances and she's always keeping that very up to date. If you want to check it out, there's plenty on there and there'll be a lot for the upcoming months too, which is exciting. But that concludes tonight's report. If anybody has any questions, you're more than welcome to ask.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you very much. And Melissa.
Thank you.
All right, educational presentation. Mr. Trammell, you are up first.
All right, good evening. Thank you for having me. I'm here tonight to present the 2021 AP data. Advanced placement courses give students the opportunity to challenge themselves with college level work and courses while still in high school. Through completing the AP course and taking the exam in early May, mid-May, students can earn college credit and course placement depending on the college or university that they attend in the fall. AP courses at Southwood Regional School can be taken in our classrooms and through online through VHS as well. In order for a school to offer an AP course, the curriculum must be audited by the College Board and the teacher must be AP certified. That's a brief history of AP and the what we need to do to have it in place at SRS. So our 2021 data, can you go to the summary sheet, the one next, please? Yeah, perfect. So we had 67 students participate in the AP test last year, broken down 15 at the 10th grade level, 27 at the 11th, and 25 students at the 12th grade level. The majority of our 10th grade students are in AP US History. That's really the only AP class that we offer for 10th graders. And that's where most of them are taking it. The 67 students took 91 tests. So if you scroll down into the next one there.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Right here.
Yes. So you can see we had 91 total exams. Our highest being in chemistry, English language comp, which this was the first year we offered that to our juniors, followed by US History and US Gov. Those were the 4 AP courses that we had in double digits. 50% of our students earned a 3 or above, with 50% of the students earning a 1 or 2 on the exam. And
What's that mean, Joe? Does that mean they don't get the credit?
no, they earn the credits at school. So as if you complete the course, you pass the course.
Right.
You earn the credit, you earn the not the what is it, the weighted grade on your report card, your GPA. That's all part of taking the AP course at SRS.
Yeah.
So the earning a 3 is really the qualifying score to earn credit at the college level or to earn a placement at the college level. That is dependent on the college though. Some colleges will accept a 3, some will a 4, some a 5. And some say, thank you for taking it. That was a great score, but we want you to take our course instead. So It really depends on the college or university that you're attending, the program that you're applying to as well, all are factors in if it counts for credit or for placement.
Is there something you can equate like a 1 and a 2 to? Like, what is that? Is that still a passing, like they're passing the class, but they didn't?
So you can pass the class and not pass the exam,
Yeah.
and not get a
Yeah.
3 or better
Right.
exam. That is- that
I mean,
is-
I think there's too many factors to probably put into place to correlate a 1 or a 2 to.
There's a lot on the
grade.
AP
Yeah,
exams.
these
Like,
are not
they're-
easy
they're
exams.
very intense exams with a lot of different parts that are all weighted very differently, like a lot of different multiple choice question types versus long answering. They all have different factors that's planned out by College Board.
Mhm.
So you could get somebody that gets like an A in the class at
Sure.
school, but they take the test and they don't do well on the test, they
Sure.
only get a 1 or 2.
Yep.
And am I correct that you also don't need to take the test if you can take the class, but you don't have to take the test? Or is that no longer true? Do you have to take the test if you take the class?
For us at SRS, that's the policy.
Okay.
In
Excellent.
order for you to get the weighted grade
You have to take.
and the credit on your transcript, you need to take the exam. As a district, we pay for the exam. We pay for all the exams. That's been in place 15 to 20 years. When Mr. LeBlanc was on this board, he kind of gave us the historical context of how the district got to the point of paying for all the students to take the exam. And that's, like I said, that's been in place for almost 15 to 20 years at this point in time. So there's a number of factors as to like I said, the correlation or the lack thereof of a 1 or a 2 to a 90 or 95 on the test. We've talked about this as a school, we've talked about this as students. Some students take 4 AP exams in 1 year. And depending on the college or the program that they're going into, they're going to focus on the science and the math tests to make sure that they try to get a 4 or 5 on that and maybe not put their attention to the English or the history part of it and vice versa. So there's a lot of factors that go into it that for the score. But that's a breakdown. That's a breakdown of the scores by subject area. There's 11 subjects there. 2 of the subjects, psychology and where is the one? Maybe it's just psychology. Psychology, we do not, the psychology is only a VHS AP course. We do not offer AP psychology as a classroom course.
And whoever took that did very well.
2 kids took that and did well, yes.
What about English lit? I see only one lit.
Yeah, that was online as well. That was VHS as well. Yeah,
That's what I thought.
yeah, thank you.
So you said, Joe, that 10th graders take the US history or US
Yeah.
government?
US history.
Well, 10 of 15.
It's incredible, that
This
age.
to be, wow.
They're hard classes.
No,
Like,
no, I mean, that's.
You might as well.
You're right now, they're pretty.
Welcome to being a sophomore.
Yeah, I mean, A-Push it's your introductory to AP classes, and it's a tough course. And it's a great teacher, and we have all of our AP teachers work really hard and provide a great opportunity for the students. But AP Push is the introductory for our high school students
So
into,
can they take that at any grade?
they could,
Okay, so
Yeah.
they don't have to take it in 10th grade?
no,
Okay.
no. But I
That's when it
think.
first opens up to.
It's when it first opens up, and it is a way to spread out the number of AP courses over 3 years as opposed to 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And that's something that we've recently done in the last 3 or 4 years, is they made that available to them.
I think sometimes you find out the AP class is harder than college.
Yeah.
So don't get too discouraged.
Yeah, so I think we can go to that one there. Well, no, if you go back to that last one. Sorry. That one at the bottom there. That was the one right there, yeah. Yeah. So this one will show you the number of exams in each course, the average score in each course, and the percentage of exams with scores of 3 or higher in each of the 11 AP offerings.
60.
Mr. Kamel, can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Does
absolutely.
every school offer this, or is this just something that we're
Every,
as you mentioned, paying for it to give our students more of an opportunity in the college.
I would venture to guess every high school offers AP courses.
No, I mean, but this type of, I understand what you're saying. Thank you. Not all schools pay for it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Not all
Right,
schools require
right.
all of their kids to take the exam.
That is,
Some schools it is
yes.
optional. And definitely not all schools pay.
right. There's two different philosophies out there. There's the philosophy of kids can take the AP course and then they might take 4 AP courses and only choose to take 2 AP tests. You know,
Mhm.
because you really can't study for 4 AP tests and get 4s out of them. I mean, it's that difficult. Our school's under the philosophy that if you're taking the class, we want you to take the test. So our scores may not look like other school districts, but we have 2 different philosophies. It's not just about having them look good, it's about giving our kids the opportunity to take the assessment.
Mm.
And this is like an extra, you know,
Yeah,
for those
yeah.
kids that are taking an AP class.
It looks different in each school. I mean, we offer 11. Some schools may only offer 5 or 6. Other schools may offer 21, 22, 23 APs. I mean, it depends on obviously the population and the demographics of your school and the certification of the teachers as well. Again, you have that option of online versus in person. If we offer it in person, we really direct our students to take it in person versus online. Like Superintendent Willard said, policies look different from school to school as well. Some schools, if you take the course, you have to take the exam. Other schools give students the option of doing that. Weighting the grade is unique by school as well. So there's a number of variables that each school district puts into place around their AP programs. So that was the breakdown. I think we looked at that. Any questions around that? You can see where our bio and AP Calc did a really nice job this year of getting their percentage of 3s or above. Our English Lang, this is the first year that we had that. Last year was the first year we offered that AP course. Ms. Anderson did a nice job of bringing 12 students into that program and implementing that curriculum for the first time and getting a nice percentage of students with 3 or above in there as well. So next we transition from the specific 2021 data to our 5-year trends. So here you can see the total number of students with scores of 3 or plus from going back to 2017. We're at 50% to 48 to 42. We had a really impactful spike in 2020 there with 71% of our students, and last year at 52%. The anomaly to 2020 is that was the year that we were not in school in the spring, and the tests were all online at home. And so the test was modified during that year as well. But the students adjusted very nicely to the test that year.
They were definitely altered tests. They weren't normal tests.
Mhm.
College
Oh,
board
yeah,
set
they-
something up.
Yeah.
So like AP US history, usually you have a long multiple choice section, a bunch of short answers and then a big.
They were a
long
lot
essay.
shorter.
I had 1 essay that year, and
Yeah.
that was my whole entire grade. That number grade was based on that 1 essay that I wrote. And that was all, we were all online at the time.
Yeah.
So that would have been the year to do 4 of them.
Right.
Hindsight 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2020.
So I mean, you take out 2020, we still have a nice trend of growth going there. I think we can go down next one. So this is a 5-year summary of the number of students that have taken the test, the number of exams that we have administered over this span, and again, the students with scores of 3 or above. So 67 compared to 73 the last 2 years, that really falls in line with the projection of our school population as well, of students in 10, 11, and 12. And the number of students, you can see the projection of that as well. And again, our percentage of students with 3+ is increasing over the last couple of years as well, excluding 2020. So that's a summary sheet. I think if we go to the AP 5-year scores, I think that spreadsheet is probably better to look at. That middle spreadsheet that you have, that short one, that gives you the same information as that second chart really on a summary sheet. So I don't think there's a need to review that. Here you specifically get the subject area and you get the scores from 2017 to 2021. So you get a 5-year look picture at how our students have done in the subject area. So if you go back up to biology, real quick, Amy, you can see that last year we had a nice boost to we're almost at 3 for our average of the students. AP Calc had a great year last year, comparatively speaking to the last 4. And
Chemistry was hard.
chemistry was tough. Chemistry is every other. So chemistry is a subject that
I took it last year. I was a part of that number there. I do admit it was probably my favorite class I'd ever taken at this school. I do have to say that. It was hard not being able to do the labs because we were either hybrid or online. So I think that took a lot out of the whole learning thing, especially because it's very like a visual, can't really titrate stuff online, but it was still a good class and I think we all got a good understanding of it.
Now, these AP scores that they get, do they impact their grade at the school?
No.
Or they're independent and that it is what it, okay.
Yeah.
So God forbid they have like a bad day.
Right.
It's not gonna.
No.
Okay.
No.
Are these scores things that DS looks at when we are going through our accreditation?
They'll look at our offerings. They'll look at the demographics of students who take these courses. So are we meeting all of our students' population at the school? Is it reflected in our AP courses? So they'll look at that from an equity lens. They'll look at, the fact that we pay for them is a significant factor in making it available to all of our students as well. They might look at our scores from, is our curriculum meeting the standards? Is our curriculum touching on the curriculum that AP puts forth? Are teachers staying up with what's happening in the AP programs and the curriculums? And our teachers do a great job of taking professional development each and every year to stay on top of it. So yeah, they'll look at it. I don't think it's going to be a major factor. And we don't have prerequisites, as I said earlier. Our students, it's not like you have to get a 90 in pre-calc in order to take AP Calc. If you got an 83 in pre-calc and you want to challenge yourself with AP Calc, we're going to give you that opportunity and we're going to promote you and we're going to support you in that class. And if you get a 5, it's wonderful. If you get a 1 and you tried your best, then good for you. So we really want to give students the opportunity to challenge themselves in their classes. So
I also agree that a big percentage of the students that do choose to take the AP exams is because they are more challenging and at that higher pace level. So they are, more people take it just for the rigor of the course, other than the fact of you're getting that end grade, because most colleges don't really take it, but it's just that high, fast-paced course that a lot of students aim to strive for.
Super.
So as you go through that, you can see the scores for the last 5 years. And you see the trends, the average, the number of exams, the mean average. So computer science principles is a new AP course in the last 3 years. AP Lang is a new course that we added last year. And on the horizon to grow the AP program is we had 3 math teachers participate in AP training this summer. 2, I believe, did AP statistics, and 1 did AP Calc just to she teaches pre-calc, so to understand the AP calc so she can prepare the students better. Our teachers have really raved about the professional development that College Board puts on for the AP teachers over the summer program. So we have that in place, and we're in discussions with the history department around a PAP history course for ninth graders to prepare them for the AP course that they can take in 10th grade. So, you know, we have to be measured in how we expand our program and not to offer courses that can't be supported with a solid number of students and finding opportunities where teachers are passionate about the subject area and want to do it. And so 2 teachers have come forward with that as something they would like to pursue. And I think it's an opportunity for us to grow the program and to provide a few more opportunities for the students underneath our AP courses. So in another month, when I present the program of studies for next year, AP Stats will be in that program of studies for students to choose this spring to take next year. Excited about that.
Anybody have any other questions? I'll thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
All right. Connection Student Group. Mr. Pescatelli, I see is
Yes.
online.
Good evening, everybody. Let me see if I can I unmuted. And I think I have to be allowed to start my video if that's gonna be allowed or not. I'm not sure. So you can see me?
Oh, yeah.
Is that allowed or not?
I
Working on it.
We'll allow it.
I don't know if you want to see me.
You take a
That's
vote
the-
on it.
That's the key.
On.
All right. Miss McLaughlin, just let me know when I can start.
Start talking, Mike.
All right, good deal. All right, well, thank you so much to the whole school committee, Superintendent Willard, for giving us the opportunity, be able to share about this SRS group connections. Okay, during this evening's presentation, I'm going to present with Ms. Latender and a few other student leaders that are in our connections group. To begin, though, I'm going to give you a very brief background around where we have come from, essentially the why of why we engaged in this work and why we started Connections as a school. So as a district and school, we have been engaged in further education and learning around topics of diversity, equity, and inclusion over the past few years. To provide some background, some context, just so everyone here tonight has a background around where our school has been around experiencing some of these issues. I just want to be able to provide a couple examples of what we've worked through as a school. One specific example is a student being bullied around their marginalized identity. That was something as a school, specifically Mr. Tamel, myself, Ms. Shorter, our superintendent, and some others had worked through over the past couple of years. Another example is a student flying the Confederate flag off their vehicle, and that having to be something as a school, us addressing that with that particular student. And then the last example that I would just like to highlight is something that as a school we had to deal with. Again, myself, Mr. Tamel, Ms. Shorter, is a student using the F word in a direct way, in a derogatory way towards a student that is part of the LGBTQA community. So really, these few examples are just a couple that, and it's not like it's happening every single day, but I do want to highlight that these couple examples, as an administrative team, as a school, and then even to the district level, through the education, the professional development that we had been going through over the past few years, and then reflecting on these examples, it just provides context, I hope, for everyone tonight to kind of understand where we're coming from in terms of the why of where we decided to create this group called Connections. So a few years ago, like I've actually already alluded to, as a school administration, we ended up, like I said, looking at these examples, we had decided and knew that we needed to meet with student leaders within our school that had been impacted by this in different ways through these different examples that I've already ended up sharing. And through that particular meeting, we realized some approaches that we could end up taking and making some changes just around how we as a school have been addressing just different issues that would pop up. And one of the student leaders made a very specific statement that kind of stuck with us, is that as an administrative team, holding assemblies and school meetings and trying to educate students about specific behavior that had happened or that as a school we need to improve upon really was not an effective approach. And if we were going to make change within our school, we needed to build the community within our community. And what was meant by that really is that the students and the staff, the entire community as a whole, needed to be able to have their voice be heard. And specifically, I want to focus on the students right now. So from this initial meeting, we had gone through some additional trainings, some additional professional development as a staff, and that's specifically myself, Ms. Shorter, a couple of our advisors that are now on as the advisors for Connections, Ms. Latender, Ms. Anderson, and we ended up going through this training over the summer, and after that training, knew that the group that we were going to be forming, a student focus group on diversity, equity, inclusion, would be something that we wanted to move forward on and focus on as a school. And with this focus, we'd also known that the process around this, developing a group like this, had been growing support from organizations, for example, like DESE and the MIAA, that have been articulating a focus consistently on creating a safe and inclusive learning environment for all our students. And that's across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that's happening. So for us to be able to develop this group that's student focused, where students can engage with their other peers around topics, and topics that are difficult to talk about, that is our main goal, right? So our own Connections group, our group of students that were selected by teachers and school administration, they include from a variety of students from many backgrounds and grade levels from 9 all the way to 12. We have currently 23 students that are on Connections, that are actively involved. And over the 3-day workshop that we held this fall, that was put on by the Anti-Defamation League, that is who facilitates the training, that's who's been supporting us this entire year so far, and will continue over the coming years around this program called World of Difference. And they are consistently on a really a regular basis there to help support us with questions that we have, even after the 3-day workshop. So that partnership has been forged, and we continue to work with them as they're definitely a well-known organization within this particular field. The focus of the training for our students, they gain an understanding and learn how to challenge bias, and then also how to challenge bullying that's happening within their school. They learn and practice through this 3-day training anti-bias facilitation skills. And in addition, they take on a leadership role within the school to build understanding and respect among all the members of the school, and that includes staff and students. So I know Ms. Latender is going to focus more on like the nuts and bolts of what this program looks like right now over the past couple months. She's going to provide some really kind of more nitty-gritty info for you to be able to understand where we're at as a group. But I need to say this, that I am extremely proud of all those students, all 23 of them. We have a few of them tonight, the student leaders that are going to share their perspective. But I know that could be echoed. I know it probably will be echoed by Ms. Latender. But overall, I'm really proud of the work that they've been doing, the excitement that they bring, and the energy that they have around this group that we've been working on this year. Ms. Latender?
All right. You going back one slide? Sorry,
Sure.
just for a quick second. So my name is Carol Latender. I am one of the co-advisors for Connections. I see some of my kiddos out here. I'm so proud of them for coming, showing up. So as Mr. Pescatelli spoke about, one of the student leaders was really onto something when he was talking about the fact that this information really needs to come from their peers. You can see research from Princeton and Yale University that peer trainers are significantly more likely to talk about and stand up against bias. And they serve as models of tolerance in their school. So come to find out, that's exactly what ADL is all about, which is really awesome. So I'm going to give you a little bit about, if we go to the next slide, the philosophy behind World of Difference, which is what comes from ADL. So they believe that the young people need to assume the leadership roles. One of the things that they need to have when they're going to the training is background on social justice issues, understanding it's a lifelong process. It's always a learning process. We're always learning and unlearning. By engaging in this process, the peer trainers learn how to effectively respond if they hear those racial slurs, the name calling, put downs in the hallways, lunchrooms, things that teachers, we just really don't hear, administration, we don't hear all the time. We don't really, we're not aware sometimes unless kids come to us that this stuff is going on, but these peer leaders are more aware of it. They develop skills to lead interactive discussions and workshops for their peers and younger students. And their peer training program provides them with training resources to design and lead interactive programs that promote an environment that is respectful and civil. You can go, perfect, thank you. So the training that our kids have done, our Connections group has done. The ADL training was the end of September, beginning of October. For that, we had Phil Fogelman and Tammy Denise. They came in and did a 3-day interactive training program. Basically, the kids got to go through a lot of the activities that they will then be pushing into the classrooms to teach. Ms. Anderson and myself participated in the program. And the word, I think one of the kids said it best when they said that it was transformative. They really felt like it was a life-changing experience for them. In that program, we focus on knowledge, skills, and motivation to effectively challenge those situations that they come across in the hall. And again, because those kids have the most powerful impact. After that, coming up in March, hopefully in person, live and in person, we will go to the Connections Conference at Sutton High School. We did it virtually last year, and it was the best thing I've done on Zoom in all my Zoom experience. They did an amazing job. So hopefully we can do it in person this year and it'll be even better. And besides that, we do a bi-weekly meeting with the kids in the connection group, and then we'll work with them individually on their the lessons that they've been working to push in as needed. I feel like I did that one too already. All right, we can skip that one. Yeah, let's move along. So there's 4 basic roles that are involved in this. So we've got our administration. They were the trailblazers for this effort. They work on the logistics. They're supporting us as advisors, communicating with the consultants at ADL, and they've been allies for the youth. Our next role is our teacher advisors. We were selected by administration. That's myself and Ms. Anderson. We attended a summer ADL training. We also did the peer leader training with the kids. We learned the content of the anti-bias training right alongside the kids, participated in all the activities, supporting them as they develop their skills in facilitating, creating a structured space for them to gather and form bonds. We've really seen some great bonding and just the way that they like merge right into their groups and get to work. Awesome. We are allies for the youth, and although we are passionate about the content, our biggest role has been facilitation, support, feedback. There's been a lot of questions. Well, how do I teach this? And what if there's a big discussion, I need to end it? And just these really great thinking questions about facilitating a conversation. The next biggest role are those peer leaders. For this round, they were nominated by staff primarily for this pilot year. There was also something that went out about, clubs that were available to join. And so some kids did click on that they were interested in Connections, and we kind of reached out to them through that. They attend the Connections conference. They participate in three-day ADL training. They do the bi-weekly meetings. They are going to eventually push into the classes to facilitate those lessons as groups. And they set an example for peers in the hallway, being bystanders, and their peer allies. So the bi-weekly meetings that we have, again, we're focusing on leadership, facilitation, public speaking, collaboration skills, and just building relationships with each other. And last but not least are the students who are going to be the audience for these peer facilitation lessons. Right now we're focusing on grade 9. So they will participate in the lessons, increase their knowledge and confidence about having these conversations, making spaces inclusive for all. Our plan had been to go in starting on the January 4th because we were at the end of a semester. So the community that's been built in these classrooms is really strong at this point. We're hesitant to start off pushing our kids in when we change classes, which is in the next few weeks, because it's going to be a brand new classroom. Kids might not be totally comfortable in this setting yet. So we may hold off. We have to discuss the timeline. Connections, what it is to us. So we asked the kids in our group, and you're going to hear some much better in-person information about what it is to them, but I won't read all of them to you because you can read. But some of them, they said it's a safe place to collaborate with peers. They get to share ideas about controversial topics with lots of new people. They've learned how to spread positive vibes. They feel like it's an outlet to safely express thoughts and opinions. They're using these great words. You can see inclusivity, filled with positive conversations and useful feedback. Spreads positivity and awareness about problems. This student wrote space for marginalized students to be heard with open minds. They're really starting to get that vocab and language that they need to have these conversations. Space to unlearn our biases. I love that, and understand why what we say may be offensive or triggering to others. Meeting new people, sharing our stories and new findings, and guide other students, staff, friends, and family members, as well as ourselves, to become more understanding humans. So the next one we have, the kids are answering what their experience has been like. This one said that they found everyone Connections super understanding and accepting, learned so much. Everything we talk about is so important in today's society, really eye-opening and change the way we think about our own words and actions. Nothing but positive. Personally, I've learned my implicit biases and how to unlearn them, how to talk to people who say or do something offensive to me or someone else, and how I can help minorities by speaking up and giving them a platform. And then lastly, we asked them what their hopes are for Connections. And this one's super small, so I might have to, I don't know if you can make that larger for me, because my eyes are aging. Thank you very much. So their hope for Connections is to continue as a group to grow and learn more about different minority groups and history, as well as plans for the future and struggle. Want to relay this information properly to fellow students, admin, family, friends, and strangers. They're another hope to be a positive influence and make an impact on the school, helping the school community to be a more inclusive and accepting space, equipping ourselves and others with the necessary knowledge to bring more inclusivity into our future endeavors. So as advisors, Ms. Anderson and I feel like Connections has provided us with an opportunity to ally with our students and support them in facilitating awareness, education, social growth. And then on the last slide, you can see the kids came up with a really awesome logo for our t-shirts that we are having made from a locally owned company. Very soon. So that's all I have. I'm gonna let the kids come up now and give you their spiel. Would you like to come up first, introduce yourself? Come on up.
I am Magnolia Dickinson. I'm a 9th grade student up at the high school and I'm a part of Connections. So Connections has helped me become a more confident and comfortable speaking out against injustice. I now have the communication skills and vocabulary to talk through moments of ignorance with others, like with family, friends, and peers. I am still learning through others and through trainings like the Anti-Defamation League training we attended earlier this semester. I hope as we gain knowledge on respecting others and their heritage, I can relay that information to our students and faculty. I hope this leadership program will make SRS a more understanding and respectful place where students can feel safe and comfortable sharing their experiences and emotions.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, esteemed members of STGRSD School Committee. Emphasis on esteemed, by the way. Well, love what you got going on here. Today, as I'm sure you know by now, I've come on behalf of Southern Regional Schools Connections Group. Now, the key question is, what is Connections? Simply put, Connections is a group of individuals united under a worthy cause, bringing about equality within our community, including but not limited to racial equality, gender equality, and sexual equality. Ending discrimination and making everyone feel comfortable in the school environment is the goal that we strive for. But one might ask, why bother? What's the significance of committing ourselves to such a daunting task? To put it lightly, we live in a society plagued with division, derived from differences in oneself and others, both in the physical sense and the mental sense. This division makes improving our community much more difficult. However, if we as a community choose to abolish discrimination and prejudices, such as exclusion from clubs or groups due to race or gender, and the lack of job opportunities for transgender people due to bias against them, come together as one people and heal the wounds created by division, we can make not only our school system, but the entire community and every town connected to it a better place to live together. Thank you for your time.
Your name.
Yeah.
I'm Lucas, by the way, Lucas Karen.
One and only.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mckenna Clark. I am a 9th grade student at SRS. I am a part of Connections, and for me personally, getting to experience this has been absolutely amazing. All of the peers in this program have been so supportive, and I really get to learn from them since they come from different backgrounds, how their lives have been and their experiences they've gone through. It has really opened my eyes, and I know personally, like the things that I've been through, I feel comfortable sharing with them, or that I have experienced with different people. And my, like Miss Latender, I know she has really helped with this whole group, and Mrs. Anderson as well, but she's not here today. I've been working like one-on-one with both of them, and hearing from them, hearing their feedback has really made me more confident as a person. And I really like to continue this group and do the facilitations so we can open all of the students' eyes to the different problems happening at school, outside of school, and on social media.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Marissa Coviello. And I'm just gonna come up here to talk a little bit about connections. I originally joined because I saw it as an opportunity to get to know people in school that I don't normally talk to in a safe space where I can hear about experiences of people different from me and learn about situations that are different from my own. And I've gotten so much out of this program and been exposed to so many topics that in my own situation, I haven't been exposed to, and with through the peer training program and just facilitating conversations with other people in the group. I've been given the knowledge and the tools to facilitate conversations of change in school, in life, and in my own community. So going forward, I plan to use these skills to educate students and staff at SRS because all students deserve to feel welcomed and safe in their community.
Very much. Are you on?
That's all we have for you. I think that's.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
Very
you.
informative. Right.
I want to thank you guys all for being here. This program is absolutely wonderful. I hope to see it grow and develop over the years. And, you know, I said in an earlier meeting today that our role as educators is to make students' worlds bigger. And I'm hearing that directly from you. And that is just absolutely wonderful. And I look forward to when you guys get the opportunity to kind of step into the role of teacher yourselves. So congratulations and thank you very much to our advisors who are making this happen and our administrators who brought the program forth in the beginning. So you guys are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Sullivan. You're up next.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to address the committee. So I was asked to come tonight to answer some questions that came up during a curriculum discussion that happened at the previous meeting. So I've gone through, I've rewatched the meeting, I've taken down note of the questions that you've asked, and the hope is, and this presentation, I'll be able to answer those questions. So to begin with, if you want to just go ahead, I just want to make sure that we all have a common understanding of what we're talking about when we talk about curriculum. So curriculum really is an overarching, encompassing term that really means all of the experiences, all of the materials, all of the plans that we have put together for students that maps out what we want them to learn from the second they walk into the door in kindergarten until when they graduate. And we develop that based on what we want to see in our ideal graduate, the types of skills and knowledge and dispositions that we want to grow in them as they spend their time here at school. So the question came up though, so what is it that gets approved? Because there's so many different things that are involved in curriculum. And some of them are teacher developed, some of them are purchased with money approved by the school committee budget. And so just to go through real quick, what gets approved, what doesn't get approved. All new curricula are reviewed by a curricular council or selection committee that's assembled by me, depending on what the topic is. And we presented this at ILT. Right now, we're currently examining our science curriculum. And so we've got a science curriculum council that we've assembled that's gathered together some people interested in science, teaching at the elementary school, some the STEM coach and some science teachers from the high school. We're working together to go through our curriculum process to look at our science curriculum. So it really depends on what it is, what topic it is that we're using, and we'll assemble a committee, a group of stakeholders that will help us to look at what's available to us. Texts and textbooks by Mass General Law are approved by the principal with input from the curriculum and instruction team and within the budget that's approved by the school committee. Materials that are selected for daily instruction are the professional responsibility of the teacher. So when a teacher sits down and plans, they'll start with our curriculum, our approved, it starts with the state standards in most subjects. It gets a little less standard directed when you get into some of the electives at the high school, but in most cases, we're starting with state standards, and we're either going to be developing a curriculum around the standards, or we're going to be looking for something to purchase that's aligned to those standards. So there's actually been a little bit of a shift in how that works over the last couple of years, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But for the materials selected for daily instruction, I know that was a real concern that came up last time. We're not going around and giving teachers every single text that they'll read, every single video they'll watch. That is the professional responsibility of the teachers. But I don't want you to feel like that's like wild, wild west, anything goes. Like, these are very highly educated people. They're required to hold master's degrees within 5 years of entering the teaching profession. They're required every 5-year license cycle to spend 150 hours learning about their craft, learning about pedagogy, learning about their content. And they're constantly being updated in their knowledge and skill of how to teach and what should be taught. So the other question that had come up was, I thought I heard somebody kind of question, like, well, what about the instructional leadership team? Should they be approving all curriculum? And ILT is not sort of a voting group. It's more what I like to call a stakeholder advisory group. So we gather together the different stakeholders. So there are parents on the team. There's a representative from the different grade level spans of teachers. There are paraprofessionals on the team. There are school committee liaisons that are on the team. And the purpose of the team is to keep you guys up to speed on things that we think you might find interesting that are happening in the schools. And then we also do bring any substantive changes to the curriculum or anything that you're going to be purchasing with the school committee budget does come through, so that we keep you advised on that. And so when you send a curriculum and instruction liaison right now, it's Ryan and Pam. They come back and they report back to you in your the section where you all report about your subcommittees. And then if they report out and you accept those minutes, that's in essence the process by which school committee officially adopts curriculum. What causes us to go back and look at the curriculum? There's a 5-year curriculum review cycle that was in place when I took over, and it's a district procedure. However, there's a lot of updates to state standards that we have to account for as well. And if you look at, I started here in 2016 in this role, and you can see there's been quite a few changes to the Massachusetts frameworks in that time. So we're not 100% on schedule, but I think we're pretty good on track. You want to jump forward there. This was the policy. This was the schedule that was in place. If you look down, we're in 21, 22. We're on track with science being in an exploration phase. We're on track with math being in phase 2. But a couple of those other ones got a little bit derailed by some of the revisions to frameworks. We'll get back on track. So John was asking about what the timeline was for curriculum adoption. Like I said, there's been a shift in how we look at curriculum, and I'll get to that in a second. But typically for how we do things now, we go through a learn and prepare phase that lasts about 1 to 2 months, which is where we're educating ourselves of what we want in our curriculum. We're developing our local lens of what we want to get out of the curriculum. And then we start to look at what's out there in terms of the market landscape. And so for 4 to 6 months, we spend time looking at available approved curriculum that's been vetted by Ed Reports and hopefully Curate as well, which are 2 teams. One is a nonprofit that does free curriculum reviews for a variety of lenses. And then Curate is the curriculum ratings by teachers, which is a Massachusetts-based group that looks at nationally vetted curriculum through the Massachusetts lens. And then what the Curriculum Council will do is look at it through a local lens to make sure it meets our needs and where we are as a district. Once we've selected the materials, we launch it. That's includes, getting professional development for the teachers, putting materials in place, making sure everybody has what they need. And then we implement for a few years and monitor how it's going. And then we reflect back and start the process over again when it's time, when we get new frameworks, or if we've decided to make an instructional shift. So that's the basic timeline. So one thing that is important to remember, because talking about some of the high school curriculum that's currently in place, when Common Core state standards were first released around about 2010, 2011, DESE said, don't go buy anything yet because it's not going to be aligned to the shifts. They're going to put a sticker on it that says Common Core state standard aligned, and it's not going to be, and you'll have wasted all your money. So DESE started a project where they hired Jay McTighe of Wiggins and Mattei, who wrote the Understanding by Design Curriculum Development Framework. And he actually brought Jay in to work with a group of teachers that they curated from around the Commonwealth. And they developed these common model curriculum units where they started with the standards and then they built using this Understanding by Design backward curriculum design process to develop curriculum units and lessons and assessments and all of that. So NEASC had come in around about that same time and gave us, I think, quite a few pieces of feedback around where our written curriculum wasn't where it needed to be. And so we embarked on a very involved process of getting all of our teachers trained on Understanding by Design, doing training on the standards so they knew how to unpack it for the knowledge and skill that were contained in there and develop their unit plans around that and develop the assessments. So a lot of our curriculum up to that point, up to like about a year or two ago, was homegrown curriculum based on the standards, and the teachers were given professional development on how to build that. And by the way, also DESE never wanted to weigh in on any of that. They just wanted you to handle it yourself. Well, they've changed their minds about all of that. So now, and I really like this quote, research is gaining ground on intuition about effective instructional practices. So we've got a lot of research out there now that supports how the brain learns and how best to teach different subjects. And so what DESE is now saying is that they want us to be using this evaluating and selecting of already vetted quality materials so that teachers don't waste their time reinventing the wheel. Instead, they can focus on differentiating their instruction to meet the needs of their different kids in front of them. So we're asking teachers to shift away from developing their own units and instead take what's already been vetted by ed reports and curate and then make it our own. And you're going to implement it just, it's not a script, it's just a plan. So we have actually our ELA curriculum and our math curriculum now has been through the second process, the high quality instructional materials process, but everything other than that is still pretty homegrown and we're moving away from that. So just so you understand that that process has changed recently. All right. So different roles and responsibilities was also a question that came up, like who does what, who gets involved, who's monitoring what's going on in the classroom. So in this next section, I hope to be able to answer some of those questions as well. So school committee is largely a policy factor where curriculum is concerned. You guys are the ones that set the long-term educational goals and policies that direct the work that we do in curriculum. You guys approve the district and school improvement plans every year, and that outlines our goals for professional development, for curriculum development. Curriculum has been a big part of our district strategic plan since I took over this role in 2016, so it's been on there a lot. You also approve the budget, so any curriculum resources that I'm purchasing, I'm putting them on your budget, which you approve. You also assign a curriculum and instruction liaison to attend the ILT meetings and report back to you so that you can be kept abreast of what's going on in the district. And you evaluate the superintendent. And I'm just going to pause there to talk about, because we were talking a little bit about oversight. There were a lot of questions about, well, who's watching what's happening in the classroom? And the answer is we all are. There's a very detailed educator evaluation system in place whereby everybody is responsible for evaluating different people around the standards for effective practice. So you guys evaluate the superintendent based on the rubrics that you have around the work that she's supposed to be doing. The superintendent then evaluates the rest of the central office staff and the principals based on the educator best practices for leadership. And then the principals and the assistant principals, they're the ones that are evaluating the teachers. And what that involves is different types of evidence that students are learning and that they're being taught what they're supposed to be taught. And that includes Looking at scores from MCAS, we come in and talk about that every year. Looking at scores from our benchmark assessments. Are the students learning what they need to learn? If they're not, we have to start to look at that. And one of the things that we have done with some of that data over the last few years is made some shifts in our curriculum and instruction. We've changed the way we teach math to a more problem-based way. We've shifted from a balanced literacy approach to a more structured literacy approach because we found that we weren't seeing the reading scores that we had hoped to see. So keeping track of of how our students are doing helps us to reflect on what we need to do differently. But principals and assistant principals and the superintendent and myself and our instructional coaches are also all the time in classes. This has been impeded a little bit because of COVID, because nobody wanted us in there with our germs last year. But I have been in a ton of classrooms the beginning of this year because I just missed everybody so much. And up until Omicron, I think we're going to give it a little bit of a break. But I'm constantly in classes watching instruction, seeing how the students are responding to the curriculum. We have instructional coaches that go in and model information or model lessons and provide feedback to teachers. Principals are constantly walking through. In fact, they are required to do at least one walkthrough a year that gets written up and formally is involved in their evaluation. So there are people keeping an eye on this. It's not just, well, we don't prove that, so good luck. We really are keeping track of what's going on and is it being effective. I think I skipped over me. I have a ton of curriculum responsibilities because that's my main role, but you know, I'm more involved with the long range planning and making sure that we're keeping pace with what's current best practices, and making sure that I'm keeping the district on track, setting the professional development up, making sure that our curriculum is up to date. So my role is more long range planning and professional development planning. I don't get so bogged down in the monitoring of what teachers are doing day to day, except in that I'm constantly in classrooms to see how things are going. I think I'm breaking my promise of 10 minutes because I forgot to set my timer when I got up here.
You're good.
Instructional, can you go back as I skipped the most important part? So the teacher's job is to really know their subject matter well, have a grasp of child development and what good pedagogy is for their content. And they're responsible for designing the day-to-day instruction that engages our students in rigorous standards-based instruction and measuring the outcomes to make sure that they're learning what they're supposed to be learning. They're the ones who do that daily planning, and that is not approved. That is constantly adapting based on what happened yesterday to meet the needs of the students in the classroom today. You cannot predict in advance what you might need from Monday to Friday. They have to be constantly being responsive. We're asking them to be, and believe me, they're trained well to do so, and they're doing a fantastic job. Instructional coaches were down a couple because it's been hard to fill positions, as many of you know in your own professions, but they're really important in our district because we don't have a lot of extra layers of fluff built in. We're pretty lean when we get to management. And so I don't have like a math director and an ELA director. I mean, I kind of have to keep track of it all. And so the coaches, in addition to supporting teachers, really support me in making sure that we're keeping pace with the rest of the world and keeping our curriculum and instruction up to date. All right, now, I'm not going to go through a ton of this. I'm just going to draw your attention to a few things. All of the policies on this particular slide are all the policies that I could find that relate in some way to curriculum and instruction directly. And these are the policies that I referenced in the presentation I just gave you. I do want to draw your attention to policy KEC because Pam, you had a question about how parents report if they have concerns. So I just want to touch on that quickly. KEC is the process by which parents can complain about curriculum materials or the curriculum. So any curriculum or any instructional materials that they do not agree should be in the curriculum, this is the process that they would follow. I'm in the wrong one, that's why I can't find it. So I believe there is a form that they fill out that explains what they find offensive and why. They have to sign it and then they submit it to, it goes first to the school, the teacher and the school administrator. If it's not resolved satisfactorily at that level, it can be put forward to the superintendent, who will put together a committee of faculty members to review the complaint and then issue a decision about whether they think it should be removed from the curriculum or not. If the parent is, or anyone, it doesn't have to be, it could be anyone that's, it could be an organization. Sometimes organizations get involved in looking at things like that. If they're not satisfied with that outcome, then they can appeal to the committee according to this policy. So that is one other question that came up that I wanted to make sure I touched on. And these last groups of policies, I'm not going to go through them all, but I just wanted to draw your attention to. These are policies that I think remind us that, yes, people have rights, people have, there are processes for disagreeing with what we're teaching in the curriculum, but ultimately our fundamental responsibility is to the students. And I think if you review these policies, you'll get a really nice overview of your code of ethics, your promises that you're making to students. And I will just draw your attention because of the nice presentation that was given by Ms. Tender and her lovely students. Policy AB specifically mentions partway down that we believe in providing safe learning environments for all members of the school district community. And I think that Mr. Pescatelli is highlighting you some of the context of these situations that have arisen, whereby people have been bullied based on their identity and are not made to feel welcome. We really want to make sure that we're living up to that. Belief is not a current reality in our school, and this is important work that we're doing. I'm hyperventilating here. I don't know how teachers do this all day. And I just wanted to bring it up because I just want to call out the elephant in the room. I think a lot of these concerns that are being risen are because some of this work is now being evident in your schools. And I think it's scaring some community members. I know that they're concerned that we're indoctrinating our students with critical race theory, and we're not. We're just trying to make our schools a safe place for all students, as we've promised to do in our policy. So I just want to, I know it's super hard for you guys because they come to you complaining and you may not know how to respond. We sometimes don't know how to respond. This is very uncomfortable for us too. We were not trained to talk about these things in a way that's productive. We're learning, and we're going to hopefully bring some of that Anti-Defamation League training to the committee as well. But just because it makes us uncomfortable does not absolve us from our responsibility to make everyone in our school feel safe. And so I just want us to be brave, to be transparent, to work together. I mean, it's really, some of these policies too talk about, it's a community partnership. We do want to work with the parents, we do want to work with you, but we work together. We need to do this together if we're going to do it right. Questions?
So, okay, I got a couple for you.
Okay.
So on your outline that you gave us, the executive summary, what's the definition of instructional materials? There's a lot, when I read through all of this, there's curriculum material.
And that was a nod to you, Rob. You said you wanted an executive summary sometimes and so.
No, it's great. I love it.
I didn't know if it was too much or not enough.
No, it was perfect. I just, what's instructional material?
It's really anything that the teacher is going to use in their classroom to facilitate whatever learning objective is there for the day.
So that could be textbooks, that could be a text, that could be any of the material that you indicated that they're due on their own.
Yes, and text is not just written anymore. It could be a picture, it could be a video. So when we're saying text, it's really anything. So if a teacher's main text, say for example, is, what are they reading? What did they read in
10th grade does Night by Eli Wiesel, so we're working on right now.
Okay, so Night. So if you're reading the book Night, you might recognize that your students do not have proper background knowledge on World War II and the Holocaust. And so you might be looking around for a video, some texts, additional texts, some more historical nonfiction texts that will build some background so that they can have a better understanding of what's happening in your main novel. So we would approve the main novel, but it would be the teachers that would go around kind of building these text sets around the main themes in the main novel to build the background knowledge that the students have access. Curriculum materials can also be digital resources, our Teams platform where we share information back and forth. It really is anything. And that's where it gets tricky. So what gets approved is the curriculum document that outlines, what standards are going to be taught in what unit, the scope and sequence. So when it's going to be taught, for how long, like what's our goal to make sure we get to everything.
Yeah.
And then we approve like the main stuff, the stuff that aligns to the standards, but there's always other things that are going to need to be woven in.
And
So
I guess that's where, it's confusing me. In your breakdown here, it indicates that you establish procedures for the selection, adoption, and evaluation of instructional materials and textbooks. The textbooks make perfect sense. You've got the thing, if there's more than 10, we're going to order it, go through a whole process. But the instructional materials could be anything.
it could be, but like if we could back it down to like an elementary level. So when you get into like an elementary literacy curriculum, there's many different parts because there's all types of different things that have to be taught foundational skills wise. So there might not be a textbook, but there might be letter cards. There might be sight word cards. There might be materials that outline decoding strategies and the steps of decoding strategies. We've been working very hard to create some documents that outline, okay, well, there's so much stuff here, we can't possibly use it all. So what do I want them to use and what do I want them not to use? Because we need to make sure that we're focusing on the right things.
Okay, so goes to my question. You've indicated that really the teachers are able to make this decision, that they've got masters, PhD, they're all trained to be able to do this. But yet part of your role is to evaluate these instructional materials.
Correct.
How do you do that if like earlier on in the presentation, like, well, we don't look at them, it's up to them. We have to trust them that they're picking the right things, but yet you're also tasked to evaluate. How do you do that?
Well, like I said, I'm watching the data and seeing if the kids are learning what they're supposed to learn. That's the first thing that I'm monitoring.
Okay.
I'm walking around to classrooms to make sure that the overall general philosophies of education that we have agreed to use are present in the classroom. And of course, if I see something that I think is, I was in a kindergarten classroom and sat down at a table and found this Thanksgiving book that had Indians with headdress and tomahawks. They're going to cut the head off of somebody. Like, if I see something that's alarming, I'm going to pick it up and walk it to the principal and say, this needs to
And
go.
I think that's from my concern perspective was not that it's the Wild West, but if nobody's monitoring it at all, then people make mistakes. Just like you just did. So I know somebody didn't do it on purpose, but if somebody's not doing some sort of, I'll call it an internal audit, because most professional, whether it's school or outside of work, everybody hires professionals. I hire professionals in my company. We've got people with masters and PhDs, but we still do internal audits on documentation because sometimes people make mistakes.
Absolutely. Most teams also have a weekly, we call it professional learning community, where they plan together and they're building these materials together. So they're auditing each other. Their principals are involved, the coaches are involved. I mean, nobody's operating in a vacuum, choosing things without other people's eyes on it. It just doesn't happen.
And I think that's from one of the concerns that sort of was brought to me. It's like, okay, who is watching the store?
Everybody, poor teachers, ask them, everybody's watching.
I can even add that to the extent that materials, educational materials, instructional materials are purchased with district funds, and that's not a guarantee that every material that's introduced into the classroom as part of a lesson is something that's purchased by the district, but to the extent of the things that they're using that are purchased by the district, they land on my desk.
Yeah, that's going to get
not
vetted.
until they're approved by the appropriate either principal or director level person who's had an opportunity to see what's being requisitioned, what's being requested by teachers or by a department chair. And then those is an opportunity for review, vetting by the principals, and then it lands on my desk. There've been a couple of times in my 10-year career here where I've seen something and I said, this doesn't make sense. What is this about? I mean, and you peel it back and you find out, well, maybe it was fine, or maybe there was an issue about it. So that's how many layers there are here that evaluating these things, that it's actually getting you to the business office has a role to play.
Are we finding that there's less, I would think with as prevalent as online options that we've got, are we finding that we're purchasing less textbooks?
Yes.
And that we're, so what that would mean is then if we were looking at 10 years ago, when you started in 2016, more textbooks, more things that you would have put your eyes on, less percentage of the work that the teachers would be doing sort of on their own, where now it's probably a majority of the information that they're using is stuff that they're finding themselves. Is that the fair?
No, I wouldn't
Okay.
say that that's fair. I'm saying that they're always going to be on a daily basis needing to probably supplement it, but they
Yeah.
should be using the core curriculum. And yes, Rob, we all make mistakes.
Absolutely.
And there's a process whereby if something happens that a parent is uncomfortable with, that they can have us take a look at it, and we will do our due diligence to make sure that we do what we need to do to make it right.
So just,
But it's not, I don't think you'll find that a lot.
I hope we don't. I mean, so back to this KEC. So anybody that files a complaint about curriculum is provided that form.
I've never been asked to give it out, so, but it certainly is there available. I mean, usually it's things can be very easily resolved if a parent
Okay.
just calls the teacher.
Okay.
Most of the time, that's the best way to resolve an issue is just to call the teacher and explain. I think I heard Pam say that's the last thing she would want to do would be the last one to know that she had done or said something to offend somebody. Usually, if you just go to the teacher, that's your best source of resolution. I think that there's another complaint procedure that doesn't speak specifically to curriculum materials where it says, just call and talk to the teacher. 99% of the time, you're going to be able to resolve your issue. They're there because they want your kid to do well and be successful. They don't want to offend anybody. If that's not successful, then the next best thing to do is go to the principal, because the principal is the one that's directly supervising the teacher, and maybe can mediate. If at the point it comes to Jen, that's when you get the form. And we'll want you to, because it's gotta be in writing, and you need to tell us what it is that you think is wrong with it. And that is when Jen would assemble a committee of staff members qualified to look at the material that would do a review of it and make a decision of if it was appropriate to be removed or not.
Yeah, and what we were talking about this in policy before this meeting, and looking at the policy as it's written and what you just described doesn't match. So we might need to go in and adjust this, because according to the policy, if somebody files a complaint, they're supposed to be provided the form. There's no first step, there's no second step, there's no, we do this before it gets to the superintendent. It's just, it may have been, let's
I
say,
think it's from
2005.
2005, yeah.
No, I mean, but that's part of it. I'm sure you agree. That's part of where we come in.
Absolutely.
If the policy doesn't meet what's going on, then we're going to need to adjust this to make sure that this is clear.
Yeah,
Because
and there's
the
a lot.
Because the
that
parents that
needs
are
to
out
be-
there, if they
yeah.
do go find it and they go, look, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. And it's not really what they're supposed to do. There's something else that we're doing.
I believe I'm attending your next policy subcommittee meeting, and I'm happy to bring that one
Okay.
with me as well.
Right, and as we discussed that policy, in education, we try to resolve the issues in a conversation to resolve the issues. That's always our interest in making sure that the people who call feel heard, we explain what's going on, and we do our due diligence at the conversational level. As I said, in 6 years here, no one has ever asked me for a form to fill out, because we've always been able to resolve any curricular issues in a conversation. So it feels very formal to take those steps when a simple conversation, and it's all about relationships, can resolve a situation.
I think maybe if we just merge the two complaint policies, I feel like there's so many levels of policy that get kind of.
Because the other one
piled on
does
top.
have a level where it's like, look, let's set up a meeting
Yeah.
before we do anything, which makes sense.
Yeah, it's possible they need to merge or be
I
more.
think I think that the policy subcommittee should take a look at that. Would love to have your feedback. And I think that you did an amazing job putting this together for us tonight. And the best thing that I heard all night was, your answer to who's doing the audit, and that it's everybody. And that's absolutely true. Teachers, the most reflective people I know, we're constantly auditing each other all of the time. And there are a lot of hands in this game. So thank you.
Perfect. If we got any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Very fine. All right, we're on to policies. So we've got IHBGA, the sort of addendum. We don't we have this here. Is it in here? I'll pass that. I got it right here. All right, IHBGA. This is the addendum to the homeschool policy that we approved last week. As we said last week, it's sort of a clarification, a little bit more detail as to the hoops and that people need to go through just to make sure that everybody's on the same footing. Anybody got any questions or concerns on this one? All right. Next one is tobacco products on school premises. We're at our second reading on that. This is the one that we minimized, correct? Superintendent Willard, this one got cut back pretty significantly.
Yeah. And we took out the
Civil
fines.
penalty.
Yes.
Anybody got any questions on tobacco products?
This is not used by students or this is on premises. They're two separate ones, so just
Right.
so that you don't.
Yep, no, because we looked at the
The other
student
one,
one
we're still working
in
on.
policy.
Yeah.
You think we'd be able to merge those two as well? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
All right, anybody got any questions on tobacco use? All right, so we'll be approving both of those hopefully next week. Last one for tonight. We've got policy GBAA. There's not really anything to read. We are looking to rescind it because it was supplanted by a substitute policy that
We never rescinded it before, I thought was that something different that we?
We
Should have rescinded
we
it before.
should have
We
rescinded
didn't,
it.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. I know we were, somebody had asked me about this and I said, well, we replaced it with another one. And
Right.
we should have did a rescind. to replace
Right,
as
we
opposed
didn't
to replace.
rescind, yeah. Okay.
Anybody got any questions on this one? This one's pretty easy.
And basically what we're replacing it with is language dictated to us by the federal law.
That's correct.
All right. Superintendent Willard, you're up.
Okay, move to approve one grade 6 school choice seat for an existing student beginning with the 21-22 school year recommended.
So. Second.
Anybody get it?
Does the student just move out of the district?
Current student moved out of district, they want to stay here for the remainder of the year.
Sounds good. Anybody have any questions on this? Make it a show of hands to approve the motion. Let the record show the motion passes 7-0-0.
Move to accept the generous donation of stickers and books from Celebrate Southwick 250th, approximate value $220 recommended.
So moved. Second.
Anybody got any questions on this? I hope we vote for it since we accepted it.
Give it back, Rob.
If we say no, they're gonna have to pull them out of the library here because I think they're in here. Can I get a show of hands to approve the motion? Amy, let the record show the motion passes 7-0-0.
Move to rescind policy GBAA sexual harassment recommended.
So moved. Second.
Questions on that? Quickly, let's get a motion to accept that. Show of hands to accept the motion. Right here. Amy, let the record show the motion passes 7-0-0. Superintendent Willard.
Got a few things for you tonight. One of them is on January 6th, they updated the COVID cases in the 3 towns where Southwick had 208 current cases between December 19th and January 1st. Granville had 31 and Holland had 0. The I'm sorry, Holland case was 1. Sorry. Sorry. I'm looking at the top, sorry.
100% increase down there.
Yeah. The SRS vaccination rates are up to 57%. Powder mill vaccination rates are up to 38%, and Woodland is at 28%. We should see those continuing to climb because they also report how many have 1 vaccination, and those numbers are pretty high. So we're going to start seeing those 2 vaccination rates continue to drop.
So the high school is going to get beat real quick.
Probably, yeah. It's been since October 17th, it's gone from 53% to 57%. So
We went from 56 to 57, right?
Yeah. we did.
It's slowing down.
The second thing I want to share with you tonight is the Student Opportunity Act. Right before COVID-19 hit, Student Opportunity Act was the big talk at the Educator road. We provided you a copy of what Jenny did as a presentation to the school committee regarding what the Student Opportunity Act. I'm not going to go into all that. All you need to know is that there's two different forms. There's a short form and a long form. Long form is for towns and cities that are going to get money. And then there's a short form for those of us who aren't going to get anything. But we're not going to get
I
anything.
thought we're getting $30.
We are like $35, but we got that anyway before the Student Opportunity Act. So for us, it was absolutely no increase, but we get to do this, what page, like 20-something page report now for the state. So we presented our amendment that we have to submit to the state at ILT. We didn't change any of our initiatives. I'll go through the 4 initiatives, but the one change that we did make was we had to find a focus group for who we were going to write the SOA amendment about. 2 years ago when we were doing this, we chose students with disabilities, but due to COVID, we changed it to all of our high need students. So our ELL students, our low socioeconomic, and our students with disabilities. And so that was really the main shift in our plan. The 4 areas are the 4 commitments that we are going to be addressing. The state gives you about 21 different areas that you can choose from, evidence-based programs that your district will be implementing to reduce gaps in the learning. We kept ours at a research-based early literacy program in pre-kindergarten in the early elementary schools. That's the HQIM that Jenny was just talking about, the high quality instructional materials that we purchased. The second one was supporting educators to implement a high quality aligned curriculum, which Jenny was just speaking to. The culturally responsive teaching or other strategies to create equitable and culturally responsive learning environments for students. That's our diversity, inclusion, and equity initiative. And then the acceleration academies and or summer learning to support skill development and accelerate advanced learners. That one we did add because that was new post-COVID. We're going to continue with our ESSER funds to continue those summer academies because we received a lot of feedback. So part of the Student Opportunity Act is to, 1, bring it first to your instructional liaison team. The next thing we have to do is bring it to school committee to get school committee approval on our amendment. And then we have to post our entire SOA on a website and give our community a few weeks to weigh in. And Jenny and I provide a 2-hour window that we put up that anybody in the community can come in and discuss with us any concerns they have. Last time we did this, we had one person come in, and actually their concern was in the high quality instructional materials, and they were thrilled to see that we were implementing high quality instructional materials with the SOA. So tonight is our presentation. I wish I could print this out for you better. It's in boxes and it's really difficult to print. I'm more than happy to have my copy. What we do is we go through the budget. We have to add what we're spending the money on, where's the money coming from, what we're going to use as a metric to measure if we're closing the gap. And we have to do that for all 4 of our commitments. And then we just have to say that we provided an opportunity for this to go in front of our instructional learning team, that it went in front of our school committee, that we provided an opportunity for public input, and that we engaged all families in this opportunity to get our $35 per student that we're going to get anyway.
So we have to outline where we're spending the $30.
The 30, well, what we
35.
did was, ours was about
Oh, it's
where we
included in
use our ESSER money, how many students it was going towards, what we were going to use to measure it. So we talked about small class size. Oh, that was their example. Hold on, excuse me. We talked about instructional materials. We used the ESSER 3 funds, classroom and specialist teachers, ESSER 3 funds. So we have to go through and specifically delineate how much of the Easter 3 funds we are using, and any other funds that we're using to address each of the commitments as part in the SOA. So it's here for your viewing at any time. I'm going to leave it with Amy. Again, it's really difficult to print because it is in a submit format. And some of the boxes, we've printed it more, so some of it is cut off, but you can get the general idea of what we are doing with the Student Opportunity Act.
Can we just scan it and PDF it to
Yes.
us?
Mhm. So that, but the only change really is with the students with disabilities. And then I'll have you vote on it at the next school committee meeting on the Student Opportunity Act. And then the next thing is MASC is going to be coming and doing some presentations at our upcoming meeting. We're a really new school committee, and with anything that's new, there's learning curves and bumps along the way. And it's to help me as a superintendent to facilitate some conversations with everybody so that we're all working together for the students in our district. So Liz LaFond, who is the MASC representative, Massachusetts Association of School Committees, she is your liaison. She is your person at the state level. Will be coming, and if you have anything that you would like her to address specifically, if you could get that to Amy, she'd like to address it more for our school and your concerns as new school committee members, things that you'd like more information on under roles and responsibilities.
What was her name again?
Liz LaFond. She also worked in the Holyoke Public Schools for charting the course. So you met Liz. Yes, so Liz is part of MASC, and so she'll be coming and doing the presentation. So Pat got to meet her at the conference, and you met her at charting the course. So she's a great resource and a good person to have on speed dial if you have any questions. She's your person, so school committee members can just reach out to her and at any time. And that is what all I have.
Mr. President, do you have anything for us to
I
say?
have no report, Stephen. I know that disappoints you some.
We all night.
Ted wants you to talk.
For the sake of time, is there anybody, because this went a little longer tonight than I think we thought it was going to, anybody on any of the subcommittees and liaisons have anything to report?
I do.
Okay.
I have an ILT report from this past week. Good news is we've already covered 2 of the 4. So connections presentation was a big part of ILT. You guys got to see that today, as well as Jen's Student Opportunity Act. So 2 of the 4 are taken care of. As Mr. Tramello alluded to earlier today, we are looking at a new AP statistics course. And so he will present to the committee the rationale behind that and when that will be available. It will be open to grades 10, 11, and 12. It's a rigorous college level class. And we do have a teacher that has been trained, wants to teach it. And the newest edition of the textbook as recommended by the College Board that goes along with that as well. So you will be hearing more about that from Joe. And then also, I'm not sure which one of you is going to talk about, but also we're looking at some changes to the new visual, adding some new visual arts classes and amending some of the current visual arts classes with the goal basically of increasing numbers, making it a little bit more aligned to our enrollment, making some of the courses a little bit more accessible and appealing to our students. So we may be kind of merging a few classes, adding some new classes that we think are more aligned to students' interest levels with regard to visual arts. And again, those will be coming our way as well. So those are the 2 of the 4 that we've not yet discussed.
Thank you. Jonathan, anything from technology?
Believe it or not, there's a meeting on
Have one.
Thursday.
Thursday.
I
Yeah.
was just gonna get a.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I get all my
That's what
meetings
you
in
get.
there.
Yeah.
Technology's not gonna be the butt of those jokes.
Yeah. We're gonna meet once every decade.
You guys are on a biannual or biannual
Yeah,
meeting?
exactly.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to the report. We're gonna give you 10 minutes for the report for technology.
Okay. We'll need it all.
All right. We are, anybody else?
No.
We are at our second public comment section. Anybody wishing to make a public comment, please let me know. No, public comment, more of a comment, not really set up for a Q&A.
Had something prepared, but this has been very informative. And my name's Rose Hannah, 18 Laurel Ridge Road, Southwick. This has been very informative, and I can see that nothing I have written is going to be applicable. My concern is how much more time is going to be usurped in this connections program from my daughter's education. I have a graduate, a 2021 graduate, who gave this school good statistics. She got 4s on those AP exams. She took college courses at Westfield State while she was here. And my youngest is not going to have the same educational opportunities that my eldest had. And it's very frustrating. I have a master's degree in police administration. For my training, I would complete an extra 150 hours of training per year. And I also instructed applied patrol procedures. And what I see happening in this school is consistent with myself teaching applied patrol procedures, which is, for those unfamiliar, it's responding to domestics, felony stops, high-risk procedures. And if I walked into that training and instead decided that I was going to teach those officers how to roast a chicken, that's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, so we are at old business. We got anything for old business? Anything for new business? I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Okay. Make it a show of hands to accept motion. Motion passes 7-0-0. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Have a great evening.
That was a long one.